then the Mini, in fact, the classic car thing for me started with the Morris Minors. Okay. But about 10 years ago, I bought a Mini Mark I, which at that stage, I just had a fascination with the car. I still do. I still think it's one of the most brilliantly engineered cars that's ever been made. And it's not an original car. It's got a 1275 motor in from the 80s. And it had also been butchered. It just had like some very dodgy wiring. And I bought it from a guy in Riversdale. And
that just sounds like someone that...
So, no, but this is me. Like, you know what? That's inland. I mean, it hasn't been on the coast.
Yeah.
Also, like the rust, shouldn't be any rust issues, you know. I speak to the guy and I say, you know, how does it drive? No, it's my daily driver. Oh, okay. So then I speak to another guy I know, he's a tow truck driver, and I say, would you take a drive up with me to Riversdale to pick up this car?
Tow truck driver.
There he is. And anyway, sanity prevailed, and he went with the tow truck to pick it up without me. Because I think the original plan, I think I got it a bit muddled up. The original plan was for me to drive the Mini back, somebody else to take me there.
Yes, okay.
When I got the car, the first drive, I got stuck at the school, the junior school, around the corner.
Yeah.
That's how far I got on the daily driver.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's like
quite a daily driver.
A 500-meter
daily driver.
The daily driver.
I think he rolled down from his house.
It's a work from home daily driver.
Yeah, but look, I mean, I must send you pictures of the car. Absolutely. It's like other people won't even allow me to sell that car because there's so much history in that car.
Yeah.
You know.
And on that topic of
and
having...
it's been, sorry to interrupt you, Luke, but it's been like a 10-year process of looking after this thing and making it better. And I always say it's had more work than the Kardashians. And I always say it's a film star.
It's a film star.
It's a film star. It's had more work than the Kardashians.
And on the topic of saying like having that 500-meter daily driver, of the cars that you have, do you drive them all the time just to keep them going, or is there one car that's...
It's insane. It's not normal.
Mm.
It's
to put it lightly.
It's not normal. So I might drive 4 or 5 in one day.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm a big believer in keeping them driving.
Yes.
And then some of them, like this one, I've discovered that you can't just drive it like 5Ks.
Yes, okay.
You
need to take it for a full
it's
proper...
Like if you're not going to warm it up properly, don't even turn the key. You know, and the Spider's very much the same because they hate the fuel.
Yeah.
So the fuel that we get, I believe, is closer to 92.
Instead of 95.
If you're lucky.
Octane,
Yeah. So certain cars absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
So they need to burn everything off on the drive. So my day sometimes involves... right, so let's just talk about... I've got the Daimler V8, it can't stand.
Yes, okay. It needs to keep going,
otherwise the oil's going to drain out of the lifters. So I have to now use that car as one of my daily drivers.
Yeah, okay.
So that's up and down to work. And then I go to Mill Park, where I have parking over there. I park that one, pick up another one, come home, pick up another one. But I mean, this is not like one drive. It's like up and down until one day, or to town where I have it, and then pick up. And so then...
You're never not on the move.
The obvious result of that is, where did I leave these keys?
Oh, yes.
So now it's like, oh man, it's either in town, in that car, or at work, or in here,
in the parking
or here, and then it becomes like it's
a logistical mess.
So I need to get like a manager just to figure out or something to realize where your cars are at certain points.
I'd like to say that I have a share in a locksmith. Because of that, but it's not. It's just coincidental. It's a family business.
Okay.
Other members of my family in the locksmith business.
And that helps you a lot in...
to have copies made.
Yeah,
you know.
Just
and
to...
they do, Atlantic locksmiths. They do coded keys and all the rest of it.
So basically everything is just...
Support your local locksmith.
Drivable and it's daily drivers.
And for them.
Yeah, definitely.
So, at the end of the day, it's difficult, but I do believe in keeping them driving. So not one of them stands longer than a week. That would be like absolute maximum.
Okay.
You know, and then if I've left it for that long, I start feeling like guilty. That if I've left it standing for a week, then it's not right. You shouldn't even have that car.
Yeah.
So you better go and drive it now. That's what happened with the 911 now, because, and this car actually had a peculiar problem, and I don't mind talking badly of the manufacturer, because they're actually 100% at fault. It had one of these situations where if it stood for any period of time, something was draining the battery. So unfortunately for them at Porsche Center, they had given me the complete history of the car, and I could see that this has been going on for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
For
That
10
is
years,
extensive.
there's a history of oaks being towed from here and being stuck there. And my wife drove it to town one night and got stuck on the way to town after dark in the middle of town.
Yeah,
It was
no.
was not a good scenario.
That isn't kosher.
And it was all on the history of the car. And the day before it came to Cape Town from Porsche in Johannesburg, they put a new battery in. Not charge the battery, put a new battery in. Because it had been standing on the showroom floor and there was no ways it would start.
Yeah.
And I said to them, and I argued with them about it, I said, look, guys, this was on plan with me. It was on plan with so many people, and it's never been attended to properly. So now I'm heading for my second or third battery. I lose track.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, it's coming in for a service. Enough with this. You need to fix whatever's wrong with this car properly. And it wasn't the battery. It was a component on the car. I can't remember the name. But it had been on plan for many years and never been attended to.
That's
and I ended
crazy.
up getting lashed with this bill. They gave me a very modest discount because of all my complaining, probably.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, when I bought the car, it had a faulty clutch after they had done their 100 and gazillion point check.
Yeah.
So within 2,000 Ks after me having it, the clutch went.
Wow.
And then I actually phoned up a gentleman in Johannesburg, the dealer principal, and it was out of plan, and they put a new clutch in for me.
Nice.
Yes, see.
And apparently they have a limited budget for that, and so it's not all bad. It was amazing. He said, look, we're in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
And so I'm not,
Customer service
that
was adequate.
excellent. Customer service is far more than I expected, because that's not why I phoned him. I phoned him to say, look, this has happened. It shouldn't happen, because they are really generally quite,
Meticulous about the
I
cars.
don't want to use pernickety, fastidious, whatever. They are like that, like, oh, well, you can't put the car on. I waited 3 months for this car.
Yeah.
Because they had to respray the wheels because the previous owner had sprayed it the wrong color, and that was the wrong color, and I had to wait, after having paid for it, months for the car to arrive.
And you waited and waited just for them to fix all the...
And then it had numerous issues after being put on plan, after all the checks. So you're never safe.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you buy some 50-year-old classic car from here, or you
Or a
buy
modern German car.
I don't want to say Land Rover, but certain people have had some bad experiences.
Yeah, no, we know all about that. Don't
More
worry.
towards that side of the room, of course.
And there's no Liberty Walk or RWB body kit in the works pushing this way for...
I think you must realize I'm not a Liberty Walk type of person.
No, not at all.
Definitely not. I did go and see a Nissan GTR with a monster, and I immediately took a picture of it because it was 1,000.
I saw one on Country the other day as well. I think
it was a grey one, and I think it was.
It's got the wheels, arches cut out, and
990 or 1,050
That's not uncommon for GTRs.
And
Godzillas or what
and
they
it
call.
had the Liberty Walk kit on it. I mean, I suppose on a car like that,
I was about to say for GTRs,
massive wheel arches, and I mean, it looks at home.
Very low front split.
It looked at home in a car like that,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
No, we actually spoke about it in a previous episode.
Yeah, it's talking about
some
modifications and
that
stuff.
fit and some that you just
I
don't.
saw an S2000 in town the other day. And
Those things.
I mean, S2000, I owned one previously, and then got married, had a child and decided, I think your sports car days are over, and it would be the responsible thing to do at your age now, because I started quite late in life. It's a responsible thing to get rid of the sports car. Had 19,000 Ks on it. I had it for 4 years. It was a demo model. I got it with 200 and something Ks on it.
Well done.
It was mint. And I got the same money back, if not a few grand more than I paid for the car.
So it was actually great.
Sold it to an accountant in Johannesburg.
Obviously.
Sent someone to have a look at it. It was, I mean, I've still got all the photos. Faultless car.
Proper S2000.
And then I, a bit later, realized that it was actually the F-Type that pushed me over the edge with the cars, because I had my Mini, and I didn't really have I didn't have a real car.
It was just a real car.
I
understand what you mean.
I didn't have a modern car.
Something you can
I had
trust
the
reliable
Mini,
day by day.
and then I would drive company vans, and so I started basically lusting. There's no other word for it. When I saw the prototype, which was the coupe, the C. I don't know if you know what it was called. Whatever it was called. I just fell in love with the shape of that car. And then that's where that started. And then I kind of said to myself, I went from the, you family guy now. I went from, I don't need sports cars, back into you only live once. You could die, you get killed tomorrow. So I went from that camp back into that camp, and I bought the F-Type. And once I spent that kind of money on a car, then the floodgates opened up, and I'd lost the fear. So that's actually what happened. I'd lost the fear, because I bought basically a new F-Type in 2016. It was a very expensive car. It's not so expensive now. with the depreciation. But I lost all the fear, and then all the other cars just bam, 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 bam. That started happening.
One after the other.
And now, so actually, this Dino is, which really fulfills a lot of the things I love about cars. Because the drive is such a visceral, sensual experience in this car. Not many cars are going to sound that much better. It's got and you guys can get in if you like later. The seating position is so
it's
and
perfect
it's got
where it
the
is.
wedge, right? So it's got that sloping bonnet. I've got a thing like that Daimler as well. So I'm as at home in that Daimler at 60 k's an hour as I am in this thing, taking it through its paces, because I absolutely love driving that car. And it's just the experience of it, appreciating the car for what it is. Same like the Mini. It's a completely different experience. But it is an experience, and there is something special about it, and there is a lot of history in the car, and that's basically what attracted me to it. So I don't have any this is the most run-of-the-mill car I've got, because a 911 is a 911 is pretty much 911.
This is 911.
If you're talking between 996 and 997, but it has to be manual for me.
And on the topic of the Daimler outside, I mean, you get them for XJs at least of that area, you get them for next to nothing these days, second-hand as well. But the V12s, I mean, anything on that is it?
I mean, for me, that's just I don't know if it's people who get tired of paying the bills, people who don't know about the bills, or just a lack of appreciation of the car.
Because I mean, they're stunning cars, and
this car was not an expensive car. My dad was still working at that stage, and his company that he was working for got sold. And he had a BMW 320. I've never owned a BMW, by the way. I didn't know it was a BMW engine when I bought that.
Just goes to show this is a real car lover.
It was his car.
Hey, watch it, Martin.
It was his car. I had a very big shunt in a BMW when I was in the army. and completely my fault. Maybe the road surface had something to do
Yeah,
with
it wasn't your fault.
it, you know. And it was my mom's car. It was a 320i, the old box shape. And the radio in my little, I think I had a what they used to call the MMI, the little Ford, not Focus, Ford.
Escort, Cortina?
No, nothing so glorious or historic.
Yeah.
It was a Meteor.
Meteor.
The Meteor?
Was it the Meteor?
I've got no idea. I've never heard the name.
Ford that was the same. It was the Ford Meteor.
Well, it's still these days.
And the
Mazda Ford is
yeah.
Okay.
And the radio was broken, and I was going to a party at a guy who actually builds hot rods now in Durbanville, Stephen McCarthy. And I was going to a party at Stephen's house. I asked my mom, could I borrow a car? And I totaled it on Tigerberg Hill. Very big accident, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I kind of blamed the car.
Of
A
course.
little bit.
I'm on my own
It
here,
had nothing
guys.
to do with the alcohol I consumed at the party.
Nothing.
Yeah, that
Nothing
was
at all.
after. Of
Yeah.
course. But on that topic also, what was your first car? What was your entrance into
Yeah, I
cars?
didn't actually have a first car. I kind of
Just started as a second.
I inherited my sister's car.
Okay.
So my sister went to live overseas. So what happened was when she turned 18, she got a car. You know, and I went to university. Amazingly, I got into university. Not a good student, and a bit disruptive in the class. And so I would hike to varsity. You know, this is the difference in my family between myself and my sister. And my sister's a school teacher, and I'm a butcher. And anyway, so she went to live overseas, and I inherited the Toyota Corolla 1.6 GL. Now I want to.
That is a classic.
I want to tell you something. That I knew nothing about cars in those days, less than nothing. But as a young guy who, I don't criticize young people for the way they drive, because the way that I drove that car, when I think about it today, I have no right to criticize anybody, because I used to put it in neutral, rev it up to 6,000 and pop it into drive. You know, and do things like that. And I used to ramp it.
Good, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I used to ramp it in Fresno,
Gymkhana.
in Sea Point. I used to ramp it off hills where there was a stop street like maybe 100 meters. I used to do, it was a mate of mine. I used to drive it on the promenade in Sea Point, along the promenade.
Wow.
When
Okay.
people were walking there, just to be
Just sharing some food here, guys.
just to be a bit of a hellraiser.
Yeah. Just
And
to.
we used to, that was that car.
Yeah.
You know, and you know what? It never broke.
But I mean, that car isn't a slouch either. I mean, for what it is, it's proper for.
But that was that boxy,
Yeah.
you know. And then that was my first car. I looked for it. I name all the cars, by the way. So now my daughter helps me and we name the cars. That was
Just it's
Roscoe,
in the family.
Roscoe.
named after Sheriff Roscoe from Dukes of Hazzard. Because I had
Very
a
nice,
very
very
similar attitude to driving in those days. There was a movie called, it was Dukes of Hazzard, and there was a movie called, with Burt Reynolds, The Bandits, what was it called? The Black Trans Am. Smokey and the Bandits.
Smokey and the Bandits.
And that driving style
Was-
appealed to me as a young guy.
If you think of Blues Brothers as well, and that.
That appealed to me in those days. And then basically when I first started working, I was working in the food industry in Johannesburg. Because a mate of mine from the army phoned me the day I finished the army, and he said, we're starting a band up in Johannesburg and we need a guitar player. So I said, okay, I'll be there on Tuesday, you know, because that's as much plans as I had in my life at that stage.
Yeah.
So I went up to Joburg and I got a job with Metro Cash and Carry. And then I got a Nissan Sentra 1.3 with air conditioning to travel in the Transvaal in those days, which you know, overtaking was risky. You know,
I mean, it's like
it was risky, and then
50-50 chance of
yeah,
actually passing.
and I got retrenched from that job within 6 months.
Yo.
The company was doing very badly, and I was last in, first out. And so that went with the retrenchment. And then I went to work for another company, a Tiger Brands company, as a traveling salesman. And I would travel all over South Africa. There I got a Toyota Corolla 1.6 again. No cell phones in those days, guys.
Yeah,
you know, get in the car, 9 hours driving in a day. Had some amazing experiences on the road. Never broke down except for once. In Natal, in Empangeni, the alternator went on my trusty Toyota Corolla. And I'm not lying to you, 2 kilometers from the national Bosch agent for the alternator.
Yo.
I mean, you are the luckiest. I mean, you really are the luckiest.
I don't want to use any swear words, but that was, you know, as they say, arse no class. But
Yes, exactly.
that was so lucky. And
Yeah.
I was literally back on the road
The
within like a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Because
That's
it was
amazing.
a Tiger Brands company. They organized everything
Yeah.
in Empangeni.
That is just something else.
I remember driving. I was running late one day. I was driving near to Louis Trichardt in the northern province, they call it now, Louis Transvaal in those days. And I used to travel from Johannesburg, and I used to go naar Boomspruit, Petersburg. I used to go to Ellisras, 180k road, one way back. And I was visiting bakeries, Sasco, Albany, Bacoma, all the big bakeries we used to supply. And, you know, like when you went on that road, 180 k's this way, 180 k, then when you went to visit the guy as the rep, the Oaks appreciated you drove 360 k's out of your way to come say how's it,
Yeah.
you know.
It's
And then I was going up Petersburg and up to Louis Trichardt, and there was no other cars on the road. And I was in this Corolla, and most of my best driving experiences have been in not really fancy cars. Yeah. And the sun was going down. It's a beautiful part of South Africa. And I was the only car on the road for miles. And then 2 Air Force jets came over while I was driving.
Wow.
And started doing, I don't know how to
Maneuvers and stuff.
describe it, but
The tricks and, yeah.
they were putting on a show for me.
Yeah.
Because I got
Wow.
goosebumps now. Because I was the only car on the road.
On that
for
road,
like
and they saw
forever.
you, and
they saw this one little car, and they started doing this show.
Yo.
Sun was going down.
Yesy.
It was
That is just-
memorable, you know. So
Can only
when
imagine
you
for-
asked me that question, you know, earlier, I thought, you know, and then it came to me that actually I have had some
insane experiences
well, I drove through. Talk about insanity. Went to the United States. And talk about okay, so I don't know if you guys are familiar, and I'll give you a little bit away from about myself when I was younger, but there was a certain book written by Hunter S. Thompson about a certain road trip from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. A famous book. And this dude, there were a lot of drugs involved and things like this, and he drove in this red convertible. So I had this thing that I wanted to go and hire a red convertible in the States when I went there.
Yeah.
And
Not a Mustang.
do you know how I got to the States, actually? Because I didn't have like bucks or anything for this. I had a massive accident in my Toyota Corolla. And I actually made a lot of money out of the insurance from this accident.
Oh, wow.
Because I refused. I refused to let them fix the... I think I wrote them a letter to say that if they fix this car, if anything happens to me in this car, I want to be paid in cash. Because if anything happens in this car, my estate's going to sue them. You know. And so they paid me out in cash, and I got the car fixed for much less.
Yeah.
And I had some money in my pocket, and this took me overseas for 7 weeks.
Wow.
The story about how I had the accident is insane. It's a ridiculous story, but it had to do with, I used to start in the butchery very early in the morning, and I worked in Muizenberg, and I lived in Sea Point. So I'd start like just past 6 o'clock.
Across the whole Cape.
And I would drive there, and so like I never really had time for breakfast. So meanwhile, I'm telling you the story. So digressed. But
No, it's all
it
so
happened.
That's
don't worry.
fine.
So, all right, so I grab a packet of pretzels. And this is back in the day where your cell phone charger was like this flat thing that you put the battery on and plugged into
It's like
the
a
lighter,
battery
you know?
charger.
Yeah.
Proper.
And so I said, you know what, stuff this. I mean, I deserve to eat breakfast, you know. It's not normal. I never have breakfast because I'm up so early and I drive there and I get busy at work, whatever. I'm going to have this packet of pretzels. So I've eaten the pretzels by the time I got to Greenpoint Circle. And so now I'm driving in the car and the packet falls over and all the salt and the goed goes all over my charger. So I think, ach nee, you know, bugger it, you know. But like, I had a bit of a big night the night before. I was only in my 20s, you know, like you. So I rolled down the window and I took the charger and I went like this and somehow I took the steering wheel with it.
No.
And I was on the Blue Route Highway in Takai and I was in those bushes and I knew there was like a bridge coming. So I thought, yes, stuff this, I pulled out like this, lost it, rolled the car 3 times across the highway, ended up on top of a hill.
What?
On the other side of the highway.
Jeepers.
That is massive.
I had a picture, I can't find the picture of that accident because there was a dude on his way to Simonstown to the Navy because there weren't a lot of cars on the road, just me and him. He was like about 3 or 4 k's back up at the top of the hill. He came, he said, and I'm not going to do it as excited as he was. He said, I can't believe you're alive. I saw the whole thing. I can't believe you're alive. So, like that, you know. And I said, can you give me a lift to work, please? I wasn't fine for work. That's tells you something about a person.
Oh, my word.
I had a few pieces of glass in my head, which I, you know, and then I walked into
You took
work
a butcher's knife and just cut it out.
I'll never forget that the chef from the Duval Hotel in Woodstock phoned and to place his order. Writer's Rain, take his order, took it out. I never put that order in. Was like completely probably in shock.
Yeah, you probably had
And
like
the
a
worst thing that
concussion.
happened with that accident was the guy whose house was opposite the highway, because in those days, I laugh about it, I had a briefcase, a tie, jacket, sports jacket. Yeah, young guy. The image was important.
Yeah,
you know?
no, definitely.
Yeah,
Found the
definitely.
briefcase in the car, lost a beautiful pair of Ray-Bans in that, I think the tow truck guy stole them, which my cousin bought me in America. And he found my diary, and in my diary was my next of kin, and he phoned my parents, and he said, listen, this guy's been in a very big accident. So my parents like freaked out, started phoning everywhere. And then eventually they decided they better phone work to say I won't be in. And they phoned, and my boss answered the phone, and they said, "Oh, yeah, Richard, you want to speak to him? He's right here." They were not happy.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine they were not the happiest
I was a naughty oak when I was
happiest
younger.
of parents in that
As you might have
situation.
gathered, I was a naughty oak when I was younger. So
Fighter jets and car crashes.
getting back to, I was thinking about the American trip.
Yes,
So
the red
obviously,
convertible.
unbeknownst to me, they don't hire out red convertibles even at higher places in the States.
Yeah.
So you might get a Mustang, but
Yeah.
you're not going to get a convertible. So I settled for a Mercury Mystique,
Mercury Mystique.
which I know will not be familiar to South African people because Mercury is, it's like a Ford,
Yeah.
pretty
I
much.
need to see how this
And
works.
it's like this entry level, but it had everything. And that trip took me, so I decided on that trip, I went from San Francisco down Pacific Highway number 1 to drive to Los Angeles. And then on the way to Los Angeles, there were rock falls at a place called Big Sur, S-U-R, not S-I-R. And so I had to head inland into Northern California to get to Los Angeles. Now, Northern California is a hectically big place, and I ended up in this forest.
Oh no.
And I was running out of fuel, and I had bought myself a map, and I was very confident because I used to travel all around South Africa. So I was quite confident to be in a car, no cell
South
phone.
Africa, States,
I mean,
same.
you told me in those days you can have a phone like this. I would have said, no, but that's like James Bond. Come on, you know. And I'm in this forest. I'm running out of fuel, and this forest is enormous. And I just have no idea how much further this forest is going to go on for. So I start like basically, you know, getting a little bit tense about this. Like, and I'm not lying to you. Air Force jets came flying over the forest.
Yes.
No, I'm telling you, and it just took me back to that
To that day
and I
that's-
just completely calmed down. And I saw there was a river. Okay,
What?
I'm like driving next to the river, and then I came to the exit. And the story gets better because then I drove to a
What
place
are the
called King
chances?
City
Yes, that
in
is crazy.
California.
Yeah.
And I went past another town called San Luis Obispo, which I thought, oh, what a nice place, you know. Meanwhile, it only exists because there's an enormous maximum security prison there. But one cool thing in that town was I went to a proper surplus, US Army surplus store and got like genuine Vietnam caps and very cool stuff back then. And okay, so I drove to Los Angeles and then found a relative to stay with, and then drove to Las Vegas and did the drive through the desert to Las Vegas. Then drove from Las Vegas back to San Francisco via the High Sierras and decided, I really don't know why. I don't know where it came from. Maybe I just can't remember, that I must drive through Death Valley.
Yeah, of course. Why not?
I mean, yeah, of course, exactly. Do you know where Death Valley is? And
Near
what
Las Vegas, isn't it?
No, obviously it's not far, but it's in the desert, and
It's the lowest point.
if you Google it, you will see it's one of the hottest places on earth.
Bugatti
never-
actually went there with the Chiron,
Okay,
just by the way.
and I actually didn't. Well, it's got enough radiators, but but actually they have like radiator water points like every 10 k's.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I'm in this Mercury Mystique, which had got me like all the way down the coast and whatever. I don't really know this car. And I'm in Death Valley and I'm just watching this gauge. And then every time you see people parked at the side of the road with smoke, steam coming out of their radiators.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hectic. But you really are in the middle of,
of
a
absolutely
desert,
nothing.
you know? And I'm saying to myself, like, actually I was hearing my mother's voice, you know, in my head saying like,
As you do.
like, are you mad? You're like, oh, what the hell are you doing? Why are you doing this? Driving on your own in the middle of the desert,
It's
the
like
radiator. The thing is,
the
you know,
dumbest thing that you can possibly.
I still have no idea why I decided to drive through
Well,
there.
you did it. And
Yeah, I know. I thought I was going to see something spectacular, and really there was nothing.
you saw spectacular cars
There
with
was
steam coming out
there was
the other
nothing
side.
spectacular to do, but I mean, like basically driving around the United States, the Sierras is amazing. You would have this thing
I
where
can
you
imagine.
come out of, you come out of like warm climates, and there's glaciers and like salt pans and
Everything is just.
amazing scenery. So that was quite an epic drive, you know, because now I don't venture very far. Like I'll go with the guys if they do a drive to Franschhoek Pass, okay.
Yeah. Then you'll
And
do
then I
a bit.
do my one annual drive, but I
Yeah.
don't, mostly it's just, nothing, that epic or major
Yeah.
in terms of driving.
You know.
No, but that, I mean, just the jets. I mean, in both situations, that's absolutely insane.
Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, and it
You'll never-
sticks in my memory. Because,
Yeah, of course, I
And I
mean-
took pictures of the jets from the car,
Wow.
as you do.
Yeah.
Oh, of
Because
course you have to.
I had bought in New York a very nice camera, and it's funny because the guy was in the store in New York, and I was convinced this oak's like a shark, and this thing's not even going to work. A Yashica it was called.
Yashica.
Took brilliant pictures on my trip.
Wow.
And this guy was like, he looked like he looked like he looked like he was from The Sopranos, I've got to be honest, you know what I mean? And I thought he was suited, like in the shop selling cameras, there's just no way this thing's going to work. This guy is such a smooth talker.
Yeah, I was about to say,
This camera's never going to work, you know?
Yeah.
And I took pictures of those jets. I've still got the pictures when I was driving through the Los Padres forest, you know? You don't forget this. Then later you go and look on a map, like, how big is this forest?
Yeah.
You know, because it seemed like, probably because I was running out of fuel, that I was driving through this forest for
Ever
a hell of a
and-
long
yeah.
time. Because if the highway wasn't closed, then you just go all the way down the Pacific Highway number one to San Francisco, you know. And I went through Carmel, where Clint Eastwood was still the mayor when I was there. And now it's like one of my ambitions is to go back there because
and
that's where
retrace
Pebble
the-
Beach is.
Yeah.
Where they have their annual
Concours
Concours,
Elegance. Yeah.
So I was there, and I knew about the golf course in those days. I didn't know about the Concours in those days, Pebble Beach, because it was actually before I'd really got into classic cars.
Yeah. It was before the whole thing. It was just that experience of it
So
all.
something that will also be quite attractive to you is something like Goodwood Festival of speed or Goodwood Revival, especially the classic cars. I don't know. That's probably something aspirational for you.
Thinking,
also.
I wanted to mention that as well because
I mean, I don't think I'd go dressing up in World War II garb, but
Well,
no, obviously,
I don't
but
think I'd go, and I know guys who go every year, and they're like, well, I mean, they got cars over there. And, I mean, the wealthy guys who've got cars over there, and they go every year to Goodwood, and I'll tell you, I'm not really. I enjoy motorsports. I recently got back into Formula One. I had.
When everyone left,
I
and
had
you came back in.
ventured over to, no, this is too boring, over to that camp. And then I'll be honest with you, I watched the Netflix show.
Drive to Survive.
Brilliant show.
That was brilliant.
Kind of got me
Back into
interested in it again. Big Brad Binder fan. Have always watched MotoGP.
MotoGP, yeah.
And I was actually at the last South African Grand Prix that we had when Mansell won in Kyalami. And that was very... I mean, I'd never been to a Grand Prix before. And that was... I'll just tell you about my experience at the start of the Grand Prix. And, you know, I always liked cars.
Yeah.
It came from like Matchbox cars to Top Trumps to building models to always liking cars. But... and, you know, probably you could never do it today, but at the starting grid of that Grand Prix, I sat on the main grandstand with my legs dangling over the grid, and the cops were giving us bullets to
put in your ears. Yeah. It's like the same when you go hunting these days.
It was SAP with the flippin', O-style. And at the start, when the cars were revving their engines for the start, the smell and the power and the feeling. I mean, I was literally.
I'm getting goosebumps.
I was literally like, okay. I was like 5 meters away from it.
Yeah, if you jumped, you would have landed on a car, basically.
I've never experienced anything like that today. Maybe that's what did it. I don't know. You know, maybe that's what.
Maybe that was the trigger.
That was the final
like that.
It gripped you.
The vibration in the air. Like, no, you probably have to sit like flipping 50 meters away up in a stand or whatever. You're not.
It makes me
think.
Okay,
it's not Kalani. Kalani, you can.
But like, it makes me think of the father and daughter that we did a while back as well on the podcast. She talked about the Samoa hill climb and having that experience of sitting in the VIP.
Sorry.
So interesting enough, I saw a Jaguar I-Pace today.
You did. And
I didn't know people buy electric cars in South Africa. We don't have the infrastructure.
But I mean, when the i8 and the i3 were very popular, i3 second-hand value is down there as well. So,
yeah. Would you buy electric car within the next 10 years?
No, I'll never buy one. Never. I'm sorry. I'm the same as Richard. I like this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Electric can stay away. Thank you. Anyway.
I'm very much keen for electric as daily driver, but not now where I can't even charge my car anyway.
Exactly.
So you reverted to electric cars while you were away. But
I've got some Tesla shares.
Oh, that's building. It's growing.
I don't know if you know.
More like gambling than got anything to do with cars.
I don't know if you know what's the guy's name? Rich Rebuilds. The guy that took his whole Tesla apart and rebuilt it, and then showed Tesla the flaws, and then they blacklisted him from that and just took him out of it basically. And now he can't ever buy a Tesla again because he operated on his own car. It's like the same with the situation. Sorry, I'm going way on in some other stuff now, but with John Deere in the States as well, the tractors, because they had to take the tractors to the service centers, and John Deere said basically if they do it themselves, they remove the warranty of the tractors, and the farmers just decided screw that, and they started hacking. So they taught themselves how to code and stuff because they just didn't work alongside with the farmers and what they wanted.
That sounds like a familiar par for the course with certain things. No, obviously I'm not. The electric cars, to me, they sound like a dentist drill.
Exactly.
They sound like a dentist drill. I wouldn't mind a hybrid. I could do a hybrid.
Not a Prius.
Not a Prius hybrid, but
no, I could do Okay, it wouldn't be the BMW, but I could do a hybrid Aston
being
Martin
battered
or
here.
whatever.
Yeah.
hybrid.
911 hybrid when it comes.
Do they take it? No.
No, well, not a Taken. I'm talking about when Porsche actually electrifies the 911.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
So I know where we're
My
going.
blood is green, you know. I like the
Martin, we're
petrol,
both
you know.
stuck now because the BMWs are done and now the Porsches are done as well. So,
But I know where we're going from here. So this is the
You know, there
perfect.
is one BMW I like. I like a 2002.
Yeah,
of
of
course,
course.
we
I
also
mean,
I
like
mean,
this
who
one.
doesn't like
yeah,
them?
if you don't like
You
that
know.
car, there's something wrong with you, honestly.
No,
I
we
do.
are also
I wouldn't mind
And-
having one of those in my garage.
Uh,
But it's again like certain cars that are. I have fear of certain cars. Like what's been done to this car? How original is it? I have that fear with an E-Type Jaguar. I have that fear with a car that I was crazy about as a youngster, Delta Integrale.
Yes.
For me, rally drivers, you know, all hail. I mean, those
Yeah,
oaks,
Group
It's
B.
unbelievable.
I'll sit and watch Group B videos over and over.
those are the top drivers. I
Yeah.
don't care what anyone says about Formula One.
Yeah, those kind of skill and like determination and largeness
Everything.
of your testicles.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean,
It's- I mean,
it's
yeah.
like I can watch that kind of driving,
I remember the.
and it, like, if I had like ambition, like the way that I liked it, I used to drive the Toyota Corolla like
Yeah.
that. I promise you, and you won't believe me. I used to pull the handbrake up and chuck the whole back out and drop the thing into first and put my foot flat and.
Yeah.
You can't believe. I mean, in this poor 1.6 GL.
You battered it
what
properly.
a car it was. Gee, what a
No,
car it was.
I remember
it
the
was like, they used to call it like a Wednesday car.
Oh,
You know what a
yeah.
Wednesday
Yeah.
car is, you know? It's like you can't break it. It's like, you know, on a Monday the cars are, you know, Tuesday. By Wednesday the guys are into the week. Friday they're thinking about going home and
Yeah.
getting the paycheck. So, you
Exactly.
know, Wednesday cars, it was
Is
a
the-
Wednesday
is the
car.
real
I
deal,
really
right?
did look for that car.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
No, it's I can.
CA388306. Still remember the registration.
Sure.
Well done. Very specific. That's very specific. Well done.
But you won't forget that. Yeah, I was about to say you won't
You
forget
don't forget like your Defence Force number. It's like your ID number, man. I mean,
that. Yeah.
most people know the ID number.
Martin, do you
Defence
know your
Force-
ID number?
I know the Defence Force number. I don't- I'm joking. I wasn't in Defence Force.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I know, especially.
You ask any oak who was in the old Defence Force, I bet you they know their numbers.
Yeah.
Even if they're like my
yeah,
age
I'll ask
or
my
older.
dad as well. Yeah, I'm
You'll
pretty
know.
sure.
You'll know, yeah.
Yeah, you'll know.
So I want to.
He forgets my name, but I'm sure he'll remember that number.
So yeah, but look, you were adopted as we.
Yeah, as we figured out in the previous podcast, I was adopted, and my dad
Yeah.
realized that there's no other way for me
And
to
you
survive.
couldn't fit in anywhere else,
he
so
had to keep
you
me.
fit in here.
So-
But don't worry.
I tell you what, I am so not adopted because you just have to watch how myself and my dad walk. It's
Yeah.
like even when I
So not
it's one walk.
He's like,
You
there's
just
no way he
can't-
can convince
you. Can't
you.
learn that.
Yeah.
You know.
So
Martin, you
yeah,
wanted to-
if you are still watching or listening, well done.
Yeah.
Like I applaud you for that because we are an hour and 45 minutes in, and
Oh, wow.
I said I don't think I can talk for that long.
Yeah.
no.
Oh, yeah, an hour and 45.
I don't think I've spoken more than a minute in this podcast.
No, but that's
And
great.
How
I
it
mean,
should be. That's how it
Jeepers.
should be. So
Wow.
I want to move us into our PT Cruiser segment. Oh well,
I want
that's
you
fine.
to, so.
We're going into our PT Cruiser segment. So our PT Cruiser segment, I don't know if you are familiar with what
I
we
know
do.
what a PT Cruiser
Yeah.
is, but I don't know why do you have one every week?
No, so PT Cruiser
Because we
segment.
love PT Cruises.
Yeah, we actually love the hate we have for PT
Yeah, we
for
love
PT
the hate that
Cruisers.
we have for the PT Cruiser.
No, of course we can call it something else, but we're not going to.
Yeah,
because
we
it was-
started-
it may or may not have been
I've got a
adapted
good idea.
from.
I mean, like obviously you can just edit me out and just
Just overlay the next.
Put more,
Okay, go for it.
I feel bad now.
No,
No.
No, I'm not saying another word.
no, please
no,
go ahead.
man,
What?
this
No,
is
no,
the
no.
whole point because we
No, I'm
came to
saying-
interview you.
Yeah, I know, but I mean sherbet.
No, you are more than
I can't believe
allowed.
it's an hour and 45 minutes.
No, we are fine with
That
that.
blown me
Yeah.
away.
No.
Yeah,
Okay,
no, it's proper.
What do you?
No, I'm going to eat nuts and have a drink now.
I'm not starting again.
Well, he
Go
eats
to
his
the
nuts.
PT Cruise. I want to hear what
We'll
it's
describe
about.
the PT Cruiser segment. So this is a rating segment that we have that may or may not have been taken from a British car show
Yeah.
for rating cars. So
Yeah.
Oh, like
it's-
cool and uncool.
it's
Yes. Basically, that's what we call
so
it.
we've got
PT
cool,
Cruises.
and then we've got dead average, and then we've got PT Cruiser, which
Which is
like
super
the bottom
uncool.
of the barrel. Like you don't like just stay
don't go
away.
there.
Well, gooi a few cars at me.
So,
I'll give you
Luke
cool
and
cool.
I have our own cars, and
Yeah.
I had a car in mind, but then you said something, and it was like, okay, this is going to be my car. So my PT Cruiser car is the Porsche Taycan Turbo S, as we spoke about now.
It is ugly too.
Yeah. No, any
No,
four-door Porsche is
I-
ugly. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
but
don't-
seriously,
agree.
I just want to mention to you briefly that the whole modern design thing for me, there is not one single modern car out at the moment that I have a desire to have.
Sure.
Because
Wow,
I can't think of any. You know the Aston Martin,
Vantage?
the new one. It's the enormous grille.
Vantage, yeah.
But when I saw
DBS
pictures of it, I didn't like it. But then when I saw it like on video, then I actually started to think, oh, actually, you know. But generally speaking, the modern styling.
Yeah.
Not to mention, like what you get in a lot of the SUVs and this angular, sharp, enormous,
Like a Civic Type
Lamborghini
R.
Urus.
just.
Yeah, Lamborghini Urus. We describe that as a tell a child to
My
build a
next
Lego
door neighbor
car.
at work owns one.
Yeah.
The only one I've ever seen.
Uh.
You know.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like saying to a child, build a Lego car, and this is what you get. It's the design of the Lamborghini Urus. It's
I suppose that thing has got its saving graces besides the hideosity of it, you know. But I mean, like just generally speaking, like the Oaks were going nuts about they launched this Ferrari Roma.
oh
And,
yeah.
I said they could have done better because there was a lot of things on there which I thought the back.
I don't know if you've
I think it's hideous.
yeah.
I mean,
if you've seen the new Dito
if it
Muscle.
doesn't have, if listen, you know, I come from the cars that I like. It's lines and curves. I mean, jagged edges, a vented door. Sorry, it's just
No, it's fine.
That's fine.
absolutely.
I mean, yeah, I'm an absolute BMW fanboy, and he freaks about Porsches. So that's the whole point of what we're doing here, is because we all love
you're
cars.
anti-BMW and Martin's anti-Porsche.
No. I'm
Loving
pro
it.
Porsche. He's
I'm-
pro BMW.
I'm pro BMW, and he's
I
pro
thought it was-
Porsche.
I thought you
no,
liked
no,
it.
other way around. But
No, so
so in terms of design, I do agree with you in some way also. I think jagged lines, like very extravagant design, often manufacturers try too hard, and then in a few years it becomes irrelevant. Like the design isn't, worthy anymore. And I feel brands like Volkswagen, I feel brands like Porsche, I feel brands like Jag, brands
Audi.
like Aston, no, Audi maybe, but they still do it well. They still do it very simplistically. Like if you look at the 997, okay, from the back it might show its age, but from the front it doesn't look like a very old.
What I liked about
car.
it, Martin, is that I thought that the 997. I won't talk about the 996's
Yeah, that's
front end because I know someone who's very protective of it 996, but I thought it bridges the gap between the old and the new very well, and that's what I liked about the 997.
Yeah,
Is that it's got the elements of the old and the
Yeah.
elements of the new.
yeah, definitely.
I'm just saying, like, as just watching media and whatever, I don't see a single car that anyone has brought out of late that I say, like, with the exception of Gordon Murray,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah, of
not
course.
going to happen, because of the lines of the car, the fan or no fan, you know, like you're driving, you don't see that fan, but the lines on the car are old school.
Yeah.
Never
That's why
mind. Never mind the ridiculous
Yeah.
performance stats. And
what was
whatever.
the new?
Which I don't need because, in all honesty, like one of the things that often comes up in discussion is like if you got a real high performance car, I mean, it doesn't have to be a
M4 competition.
Veyron or a Chiron, you know, where?
Yeah.
Please tell me.
Where you going to
Especially-
use
Unless you're
that
driving
car?
200 k's out of your way.
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah.
Around here.
definitely.
I
I
mean,
agree.
The car that's springing to mind now was the launch of the new Di Tommaso. Was it I think it was a Pantera. With
The Pantera is a very old car.
No,
call
but
it,
they did
the
a new-
Massa is I think they call it the P70 or something. Not
But-
sure.
yeah, but
very similar look to the Gordon Murray D50. Also, very.
But that
good
was
lines.
the thing, because this car, they stuck to their roots of what they had, and they're all designed with long sloping lines and these bubbly wheel
I'll show
arches
you.
and stuff. But it's the same thing.
Interior is like, if I'm not mistaken, is American engine in.
Yeah, it is a
Italian.
V8 car.
Yeah. But just having
Looks like
that,
a
it's the
Countach.
same thing, because that is a new car that's launched. It's new, and it looks good because of its old styling and that classic styling. But it's the same thing of where. What do you do with it? 'Cause
Well, let me put it to you like this, because my logic, I think, makes perfectly good sense, as logic should. Is
If
that
you'd
you
like
can-
to see the car,
Oh.
this is the P72. Almost close enough. Very curvy.
Yeah, I mean,
Looks awesome, in
yeah,
my
I mean,
opinion.
curvy, jaggy, I mean, that's something I like, you know. But these cars, if I talk about sports cars from 1975, sports car, my Spider 1983 sports car, you can still drive these cars and be just around within on a highway somewhere and still enjoy it.
Yeah.
You can take this thing up to 130 k's, let's say, on the N1. Yes, I know it's a little bit over the speed limit, but you still feel like you're driving, because it feels a lot faster in this car
Yeah,
than it
definitely.
would
As
in
a-
my F-Type or even in the 911. You
Yeah,
know? I mean,
definitely.
This is why I prefer that type of experience.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, like, from a design point of view, I don't really give... I don't care, I don't really worry how big my screen is. So, like, when they're doing, like, reviews on cars and it's, like, totally lost. Like, I don't... Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares how big the screen is? And
Yeah.
I mean, what are you in the car to do?
This
Yeah.
is very relevant to what Luke and I chatted about on the way here. Actually, so Top Gear in their news episode they posted a 2-minute video on the SF90 Stradale, the Ferrari, and of course this is 1,000 horsepower hypercar. That was salmon and avo on a salty crack. It's not anymore, but it's like
The
1,000
floor of my
horsepower.
garage is so clean you can eat off it.
It's about 1,000 horsepower hypercar, hybridized. So stole the V8 from the Pista or whatever, and then hybridized. Insane performance, unbelievable. And I saw the video, and basically, if you had to summarize it in 2 sentences, it would be that you are in awe of its capabilities and technological advancement and speed. But when push comes to shove, and you have to look back in retrospect and ask yourself, did you enjoy it? Then it's probably a no, because with traction control on, all the ESC on every electronic system helping you, it's fine. You look like a god of driving, to be honest. It holds a drift for you in perfect, we can drive it. And we so we haven't drove these kind of cars. But then we take the traction control off. It's not about enjoyment, but more about, oh, flip, I have to focus on keeping this car on the road. Otherwise, I might die.
That's what
It's too fast to
But
enjoy.
But I think, really, cars like that, once you've bought your airfield,
Yeah,
you
no,
get what
fair.
it-
Fair. Once you bought your island, you can just
Exactly.
de-restrict the roads.
That's the thing. When the Gordon Murray, the T50
I
was
bought
released.
the Isle of Man yesterday,
Oh,
and
that's
now I'm ready
amazing.
to go and buy
Exactly.
a
Yeah.
modern sports car.
Yeah. When the T50 was released, I said I feel like it was what Lotus was doing for a while, because Lotus had manual, fast, lightweight machines. Like
Oh,
I
of
said
course,
now,
yeah.
with what it, I feel like Lotus is that kind of same thing, because it was a lightweight sports car. You don't have aircon. You can spec it in aircon and get it radio if you want to, but they can strip everything out of the car, and you sat with a sort of V6 manual in a lightweight thing, and it's just there to drive it and having.
Be honest, it appeals to me. My cousin, who's also a petrolhead, he's got a very different collection, but a very nice collection. He's got a Stradale, and he's got a McLaren, and he's owned Ferraris for a long time, and he bought an Exige.
Okay.
Yeah, not easy to get in and out of.
Yeah, no,
Very
no.
small.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, I mean, like sunken bathtub
Yeah. It's
kind
like
of thing. I mean,
you
and
fall
like,
back onto the floor basically.
really, I mean, you need to be a jockey.
Yeah.
So brilliant track car and all the rest of it. But yeah, like Lotuses, I've got to be honest, that there are a few of them that
that
appeal to
really,
me.
do the
Yeah.
You know,
they push the correct buttons, unlike F-Type.
no, I mean, I don't know what I would be thinking, like where I'm going to drive it.
Yeah, I mean, because you say,
You know,
yeah.
and then like when I see people like driving around in that kind of car, like then I think,
Were you going to?
like, hello,
What's the hi? How's it? What's going on here?
what's that all about?
Yeah.
You know, you miss the point of the car.
Yeah,
You know,
But
it's
anyway.
it's not to go to Canal Walking.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you've got zero boot space.
Okay, so
but Martin,
we aren't going to chat a lot about the Taycan. It just seems that way. But very quick, very capable, very new, interesting design. Of course, it's not really to your taste. It's more towards my taste.
There's only, you see, if a car's only got one thing going for it, which is that it's fast, that's not enough for me.
Well,
Because there's so many cars that are fast, then that's not enough for me. Okay, so it's very fast. Okay, great.
I'd argue that it's not just that also. Because for Porsche, it was like, okay, yes, it can go unbelievably fast. And, you know, Tesla Model S's are known for also being unbelievably fast. But one thing that the Porsche Taycan has, or a few things that it has that the Tesla Model S doesn't have, is just a new level of, you know, construction in terms of the interior quality and the build quality and the comfort.
I'm sorry.
I know it's not going to be this, and it's not meant to be this.
All look this. You know, everything these days looks so.
I think
No,
similar.
they're very
Similar.
similar. I agree.
Okay, so like Audi's got, you know,
a
a
square
very
steering.
nice build quality in the cabin or whatever. Now, what I'm actually getting at is, all right, so the question that I have a question, which I'll put to you, it's like, would you rather do, for example, I'll just use some numbers here. Would you rather do 180 k's an hour in a, let's say, a more my kind of car?
Mm-hmm.
Or would you rather be in your Taycan doing 280? Because surely the physical experience and the sensory experience, you know, once you reach a certain speed,
Yeah, then
you're at speed. So like how much difference is it between 200 k's an hour and 240 k's an hour, or 220 k's an hour, or even like 300 k's an hour? This is my argument about that, is that it's about how you get there, not only about how fast you
is
get
true.
there. You
Yeah,
know? And
it's a good point to enlighten
this is really my attitude to modern cars, and maybe why I have like so little interest in them at the moment, is that the other thing about them, which you know, is the great thing about classic cars, is that they're so fixable.
Yeah.
And it's like my mom's got a Honda Jazz, and she was involved in an accident. And I'm just telling the truth. I'm not trying to run anyone down, but Honda could not fix her car because her ECU, they couldn't fix it. You know, they don't
You're
know
not
how to
gonna
fix
have
their
that
own
kind of-
car. And once that thing is gone, that's the car. And this is really what I love about old cars and classic cars, is everything's fixable. The less electronic stuff in it, you know, it's like I don't even put a radio. I haven't even put radios. There's no radio in my Spider, no radio in my Mini.
Just because
I
the thrill of
don't
driving a
want-
car. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it just interferes with what I enjoy about the car. And I'm just saying that they're so fixable on modern cars. And even if you go back to BMW, like the damage to my mom's 320i, which was in probably 1990 that I had that accident, was over 20 grand.
Sure.
And an accident of over 20 grand
That
in
is,
1990 was a proper shunt. But even in those days, when they just started bringing out certain components, if something broke, nobody knew how to fix them.
Yeah, it was just...
And I feel that I've got a friend of mine who's a very, very a scholarly person and a very highly qualified. I think he's got 5 degrees, and an avid reader, and he's a massive believer in Tesla as a company. And so I often have that dice between, this is the way of the future, this is where things are going. And I just say, until somebody discovers something that we don't know about batteries right now, or until other components in the cars start failing and start costing more to fix than the car themselves. And I mean, I'm not talking from a technical knowledge point of view, but many times with modern, doesn't even have to be cars, it's like even butchery equipment. The more modern it is, and the more software there is on it, when something goes, when something breaks, the more of a problem it is. And that's how I see electric cars.
Yeah.
No, I do
see
agree.
it in the same light.
I do agree.
If it's out of a warranty, then you can forget about it.
So you would buy the first series of this butchery machine, and there's 5 more after it. But the first series, something breaks, they know how to fix it. It's one little circuit board.
Simple, it's mechanical.
Yeah, it's like I was watching a YouTube clip about a guy who bought on an online auction. He bought a Bentley.
Oh, Uvi's garage. Is that?
Yeah. The dude's like a proper redneck.
Yeah.
And he fixed it, and they put sugar in the petrol tank. Did you see that one?
I saw.
Okay, but did you see that it had 2 batteries? One battery for the car and another battery for all the components.
Yeah.
And then he ended up getting components from Volkswagen. What's that Volkswagen sedan that was like...
The Passat.
Phaeton or...
Jetta.
That's it.
Yeah.
It was really not a big hit.
Yeah.
And he could use the same components from that in the Bentley at half the price.
Yeah. Instead of Bentley parts, but
what I'm saying is like...
cheapers.
That's... Once it gets to that point,
So I can assume from all this now for the Taken, where you're gonna rate it.
Let's rate it now because my computer is going to die.
Okay, so we're gonna rate.
So for me, it's definitely cool in terms of engineering feat.
I'm hovering.
And what it is possible.
Hovering between dead average and cool, just because I'm not a big fan of Porsches.
Just know that I'm not going to buy it to give me the experience that these cars are going to. It's probably going to be something that, more like a daily drive, I'd say.
There's only one answer. If I had enough money to buy 10, I wouldn't buy 1.
So that's PT Cruiser.
PT Cruiser.
Okay, what's your car? Quickly.
I forgot my car because I had it and I can't remember what it is. So I'm sorry. We're going to just run on the Taken and.
But before my computer is going to die.
So if you're not, I'm just saying. Sorry about that. If you've actually got the money to buy the thing, which I don't, but if you had the money to buy the thing and you won't, that you can't make a bigger statement than that.
Yeah. True. All right.
So that concludes our 11th episode. This has been our longest episode, but I really don't care.
Yeah, I mean, this is amazing.
The podcast is thanks to technology. Yes. And phones, it's easy to stop it, pause, listen to another time. You can just split it on it.
45 minutes.
Yes, which will probably happen in this case.
We'll see what happens, but yeah.
But I want to thank you for listening, for watching.
Yes,
your continued support is the reason why we do it. I want to thank you, the podcast butcher, for sharing your knowledge.
For giving us the time to
and your experience.
I didn't have biltong for you guys.
No,
I'm feeling bad.
That's fine.
It's like, it's like the tailor's son never has clothes.
Yeah. But it's been awesome listening to your stories and really just gaining insight, gaining knowledge. It's not necessarily... Well, of course, I've learned things about cars and about journeys of classic cars also, but this was more about hearing about experiences and getting excited about similar experiences we might be experiencing also.
Exactly, yeah.
So thank you for enlightening us.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Luke, thank you for being here as always. And just remember to love cars because
it's cheaper than drugs.
All right.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.